One of the things I love about living in Colchester is obviously access to the outdoors.
Folks move to Colchester because we have great forests and great trails, and we're right next to the lake, and you also have access to high quality education for students pre-K to 12.
The small town feel is really nice, and you get to know everyone. We go to Pioneer Cafe and half the people are all in Lakers jerseys.
And the school is such a meaningful place and provides so much for our community.
You know, Colchester has a real community feel, and it's evident in our schools. It's a place where people want to come and move and settle and raise a family.
The word is out that Colchester is a great place to work and live. There's nowhere else I want to be.
My kids have been in the district for a long time. They are Lakers, they are Cougars. They really identify with the schools, and that has shaped who they are.
Colchester Middle School has never been significantly renovated since that building was constructed in the 60s. If we think about Porters Point School and Union Memorial School, those two buildings were built in the 50s. Those major mechanical systems have outlived their useful life, and they need to be upgraded.
Talking about the older buildings, I mean, we've got a couple that are 70 years old now. We've got some that are 50 years old. So just maintaining these buildings is not easy.
When we really took a comprehensive look at what was needed in our buildings, we wanted to make sure that it wasn't just classroom updates, but it's infrastructure updates. It's HVAC, it's plumbing, it's electrical, it's the windows, it's energy efficiency.
One of the biggest issues we've had with these aluminum heat exchangers really aren't compatible with the old iron pipes in this school. So that has been an issue for us. They've got quite a bit of settlement in them. This unit ventilator here has a 3-way valve. We ended up having issues with it because it is quite a bit older, this unit. The valve that was put in originally that was not going to work, that they attempted, blew off the pipe, flooded the whole library. So it was a big issue, but I will say that all the employees gathered together, everybody was helping us move stuff, so that part was great. But yeah, this is just one of the issues you have with old buildings. You're lucky to be able to find the parts you need.
Because the school buildings are so antiquated, we don't have a great HVAC system. So if you're hot and tired, it's really hard to learn. Similarly to like if you're freezing and shivering, it's hard to learn.
A lot of these air conditioners, we've got them in every school. They're pretty much in every window, unfortunately. A lot of people might think these are luxury. They are not. They're a necessity. Sometimes even myself, I'm like, do they really need that? But then I walk in the room and it's 85 degrees in there and I'm like, oh my God, okay, they need it. They definitely need it. And one of the problems with that is just poor insulation in these buildings. I mean, we've got these ancient windows. They're not keeping any heat out. They're not keeping any heat in. Some electrical that we were doing earlier, I mean, again, this was built 70 years ago. At that time, people weren't plugging in as much stuff. And one of the problems we see here is people using extension cords, plugging those in, running them across the room, having a power strip right there, 15 things plugged into it, another power strip plugged into a power strip. What happens in that case is you're popping breakers. So I'm constantly having to have our electrician come over and add outlets for people, which is a big expense.
How could we create spaces that are accessible to everyone, or children that are using some sort of mobility device? Our classroom spaces are not set up for those things, nor is our playground. I've observed before how difficult it is for a child to navigate a classroom space that's not set up for those things.
Each classroom has a bathroom, which is amazing. It is not handicap accessible, so you have students who are missing classroom time to go get their basic needs met.
One of the most significant areas that we need to invest in our facilities is specifically around safety and security.
Schools were built in a time prior to lockdowns, school shootings. Architecture now has to address ways to keep kids safe, lines of sight that may be open to see a potential danger and react preemptively instead of waiting for something to happen. Also exits that may be needed in a dangerous situation. You know, the world's a much different place now.
This project is going to tend to what our structures look like to increase safety for students. Two very important times for schools are arrival and dismissal time for students. If you've driven by a school in Colchester during that time, you know not only are the roads congested, but our parking lots and our bus loops are undersized for the needs that we have. Currently, our preschool program is housed in Malletts Bay School. Our vision is to move preschool to Porters and Union. That process would eliminate one transition point for our students and for their families.
You know, if our kindergarten or pre-K were in the same building, I think there'd be better alignment. We also could be working together on identifying some of the needs that our kids have.
Folks probably hear a lot around the state about declining enrollment, but that's not the case here in Colchester. Our enrollment has stayed steady and is slowly growing as well. Our schools currently have insufficient space for the number of enrolled students that we have. And in the future, we project that it's going to get even tighter.
Our school enrollment is getting bigger, but our facilities aren't changing. And so we're sort of trying to shove more needs into the same space. And we're just going to hit a point where we can't do that anymore.
I also think about, again, those supplemental services, reading, math, our ML. Those are some of our kids who need the most, and yet they are in a small space where other people are working simultaneously. If we could make it more distraction-free, it would certainly help their learning.
So when I think about the middle school, I think about the fact that we don't have great spaces for all-school community events. We struggle when we are hosting athletic events. We haven't updated the gym ever, and so it's difficult for us to really have a part in the wider athletic community.
We are always flexible, but we have a few people who are almost working in closets, literal closets that have been converted. For us currently, our cafetetorium, where our master schedule is based on when time is available. If we were able to have a separate gymnasium and cafeteria, that allows us some more flexibility in what the schedule could look like each day, would make it easier to teach and easier to learn.
I have the benefit of having probably one of the largest classes in the building, but I'm always short on space. And I know that my colleagues who teach elementary school have even smaller spaces than I do. And sometimes I look at their small closets and I have no idea where they put things.
You know, when we're trying to do some assessments and you have teachers sitting in the hallway because there's not a space to go to pull kids. Are we really reflecting what their knowledge is, or are we reflecting what they could do that day when other classrooms and teachers were walking by and they wanted to hear what was going on?
Our facilities crew has been doing an amazing job holding up these buildings, but it's really time to take bigger and stronger action to ensure that everybody in our district has an amazing place to learn.
The bond is going to total $115 million. It's essentially going to provide renovations and improvements at 3 of our schools, Union, Porters, and the middle school, with smaller projects being completed hopefully at the high school and Mallett's Bay.
Historically, Colchester has been a low spending district in Vermont. And as a result of that, we have piecemealed some projects together. So our buildings, when you're walking through them, they look great. However, we're not addressing and have not been able to address the mechanics of the buildings that you don't necessarily see.
Even adding in $115 million in bonds, which is substantial, we would still remain, although higher, we would still remain one of the lowest spending districts in Chittenden County. The cost of the projects have probably doubled or even tripled in cost, and waiting longer to approve separate bonds or smaller bonds or going back to piecemealing is something that is just going to cost more.
This bond is going to transform our school buildings from the inside out. It's going to fix all of the infrastructure issues that we are currently experiencing. It's also going to allow us to think about what is education going to be 10, 15, 20 years down the road for the future Colchester students that will move through the district.
The foundation for our kids isn't just built at home, it's built in the walls of our schools. So what happens inside these walls matters. It matters to our kids, who then become adults, who then have an impact on the community. We have some amazing graduates, and many of them are still in the community and are contributing to the community. And the schools built that foundation for them. So it matters.
Our educators are working through the facilities issues that we're currently facing, and they're doing a tremendous job so that students in the community, when you're in the buildings, you might not know the challenges that we're facing, but the challenges are real, and it's time to invest for the long term for our town, for our schools, and especially for our students.